Hi there, it's Kevin with Gonro Games. It has been a while since we have posted here at Gonro Games. Thought I'd better give an update to the video on what's going on. Of course, the holiday season has made it pretty hectic and busy, and that's one of the reasons why we haven't had videos out. But the main reason is this little girl here. Come here, Chloe. Come here, Chloe. Where'd she go? I think she's running off because she's always camera shy. She never wants me to film her, but there she is. So we've been dealing with this. I'll try not to get too emotional here, but where we've been in the past few days or past few weeks is since the store has been open, we've had Chloe with us, and she's always been just so iconic part of the store. Comes in and that's what she does. Come here, Chloe. She greets the customers. Every time someone, come here, come on. You can be in a video. Every time that someone comes in, she always brings them a toy and says hello. And it's just been a huge part of Gonro Games since the very beginning. And we love her. But we took her in because she was having a limp on her hind leg when her left hind leg was limping really bad. And I didn't expect, I've already been through a CCL surgery with another dog. So I'm like, oh man, I have to go through this again and get a surgery. But unfortunately, it was even worse than that. Chloe was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, and it is a fairly lethal, very lethal type of bone cancer, which life expectancy is not that great unless we, treat it pretty quickly. And then the outlook's not very good. I mean, there's some experimental studies going on right now with different types of like a vaccine that will attack the cancer cells and a few other things. But if you just Google osteosarcoma, the diagnosis is not good. So we've been spending a lot of time going on walks, getting cuddles, spoiling her, got her on an all meat diet, all that stuff, and just trying to enjoy the time we have left with her. So anyway, that's what's been going on. So I haven't seen videos. This is what I worry about the most, is they're just best buds, but life goes on. We'll like I said, we'll do what we can with her. And I appreciate all the people. I know that I posted this on the Discord as well as on the Patreon page. So the patrons know what's going on, but that's basically the reason for the lack of videos. So wish I had better news. Wish it was just me being lazy. But anyway, I woke up this morning to this little guy here, Kaladesh, which I still need to read the entire. I've just watched a few TLDRs, some videos. Of course, Rudy from Alpha Investments did a video on it, and he always pops up on my feed. The main reason I watch Rudy is because if you want to get ahead of spikes, regardless if you like the guy, you hate the guy, you don't agree with the guy, you do agree with the guy, his videos do cause the most movement in the market by far than any other videos. So on my feed, his video showed up about Kaladesh. I'm like, what in the world is going on with Kaladesh? And this guy here, Kaladesh, is Wizards have lost their minds. So this is why, and you're going to get a rant from me too. I think we need a good rant too after the kind of the sad news here. We always love a good Kevin rant. Is Wizards have lost their minds every time I think that they're going to change. And I know I got a lot of bad responses last time when I kind of called it the uppity Seattle culture that is so tainted with Magic the Gathering, and people read way too political into it. And I guess it is a little political, but not really. It just shows the mentality of where these sort of companies, these corporations that especially that move northwest or super into these sorts of areas, they turn the company's focus away from making a damn game and into what I call fart sniffing, do-gooders, where they try to show how their company is just so graceful, so wonderful, how they are just, they're going to make the world a better place with their cardboard. And it just gets absolutely ridiculous. So if you haven't heard about the Kaladesh thing, which is why I think it is such a stupid non-issue, is instead of trying to focus on reviving Pioneer, which is a dead format now, or trying to figure out what they're going to do with the power creep issues with Modern, or see how they can actually get their Grand Prix back up to the status they once had, which was so sad because I think they are on a roll of doing this thing where they have started the focus back on, where Foundations was actually a smash hit. What does Wizards of the Coast do? They hire a company to look at, can see what sort of problematic language or how they can make their brand image better without offending more people. So I'm not going to give a big shout out because I'm not a big fan of conservative media. Like politically speaking, I'm pretty much a centrist. So before I start getting people to, call me whatever, I'm pretty much middle of the road when it comes to political issues. But I did find it hilarious that the Babylon Bee did a Dungeons and Dragons spoof, and the comment section was just ragging on Wizard of the Coast. There's been a lot of pushback now with even the Dungeons and Dragons that they're going after things that are just such non-issues. So the latest thing too, if you haven't heard, is there's a huge outcry, I don't know how much of this is a parody or not, about rechanging Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master, because Master is now offensive because of the connotations that it had with slavery. And it's like, where does this end? Where is this where we can't say words now because they have, in some sort of language or some sort of connotation, there has some negative. It goes back to the whole. I was talking about this clear back in the day when they did the Liliana versus Garrick, where they had the triumphs and where one was seemingly fine and the other one was awful. It was a depiction of domestic violence, where the other one was a depiction of a zombie eating a guy's brain. Wasn't bad. And it's like, that's the whole point to a game that has. This is a game, Magic the Gathering has a setting that has a lot of dark, like bad things happen. In all the storylines, bad things happen. And bad guys are bad because they do bad things. And they're bad. And so you have to show the bad things to show that the character is bad. And if it triggers someone, it triggers someone. And unfortunately, that's where we've got to the point where we're tippy-toeing, but they're hiring companies to then, this took some stretch. Like the Dungeon Master thing, I think, is a lot more. You can kind of draw the conclusion. You can see where people could get offended by the term master a lot more than you could see people getting offended by Kaladesh. So again, I haven't read too much into it, but the TLDR, at least from the videos I've watched, is that somewhere in some language that someone was able to dig up that the term Kaladesh could have some offensive implications because Kala means dark somewhere or black somewhere, and Desh means city. And so basically dark city or black city all of a sudden could be somewhere by someone could get offended. But again, no one is like, in what language, in what people? This is where they're stretching, and this is where if you have to hire a company to start looking through words that somehow have some sort of negative implications somewhere, it's a non-issue. Who was offended? Who was offended by the term Kaladesh? Who was offended by this setting of an invention set where it was just a word, like I'm sure they came up with it. I think that Wizards of the Coast was like, when we created the road, we had no idea. Okay, you had no idea. So it's a non-issue. It wasn't creative to be some sort of like dog whistle that people accuse other things of happening. And it wasn't, so no one was offended. No one even knew about the negative implications until they brought it up. And now you've just created a problem. And that problem now has led to a Kaladesh buyout. And here is where Magic the Gathering investors are just as nonsensical and stupid as the Pokemon investors. Like, this is like every day I have to wake up to these people that think they're going to make riches off of cardboard. And the people that now think that Kaladesh is a reserve list product, you are kidding yourselves. I think, in my opinion, of what is more likely of happening is Kaladesh going to be able to be sold in years for thousands of dollars is less likelihood than the management at Wizards of the Coast collapsing and it being brought to Texas or another place where the culture changes and they're like, hell yeah, let's do a Kaladesh remastered. That scenario B, is way more likely, in my opinion, than Kaladesh now being on the naughty list of never being able to reprint like the card Jihad or Crusade or those type of cards that have now been permanently banned because of historical sensitivity. I think that scenario is way less likely of happening than a Kaladesh remastered happening in the future. So with crypto going through the moon, and I feel like a tired record going over and over. Guys, this is cardboard. You know how easy it is to reprint things that then even, like, how many promises of Wizards of the Coast gone back on that they're not going to do X, Y, or Z, and they do X, Y, or Z? When there will be an opportunity for them to milk money out of a product, they will milk money. And second of all, this is a set that the reason why Kaladesh was expensive before is these boxes kind of snuck up on everyone because it was during a time period of the overprinting of Magic the Gathering, and people were chasing the expeditions, and everyone thought the supply of Kaladesh was just going to be infinite. And Wizards kind of pulled a fast one. I remember this time period. They didn't give like a final call for it because Kaladesh boxes actually tanked. That entire time frame tanked in price. The Amonkhet's, the Hour Devastations, the Kaladesh, the Aether Revolt, they tanked. And then all of a sudden Wizards just turned off that valve of reprinting them, and it snuck up on everyone, and there was a lot less out there in the sealed form than people anticipated. And then the boxes, right after that, we hit the COVID era where everything went, up like crazy. And if you can actually find something typical to is Dominaria. Dominaria came around the same time period, and it also spiked up. But Dominaria actually did come back down because the market realized how much sealed of Dominaria was still out there. Kaladesh, not so. Kaladesh had been broken down. I remember when people were like, well, at this point, with boxes being blown out for this price, I might as well just try to recoup my capital by doing mass box openings and trying to hit expeditions. And I mean, that was what was really going on at the time. And so there wasn't a lot of these in their sealed forms. And so it does have that going for it. But out of all of the sets that have never been able to recover, as far as they've reprinted the crap out of any card that has had any potential of ever going up from especially Kaladesh. They've reprinted them in Commander decks. They've reprinted them in master sets. They've reprinted them everywhere they could print, and any card that had any sort of value. Like, what is the most expensive card, Zach, in Kaladesh? You buy a computer there? Got, besides expeditions, because again, you can't base a price of a thing.
One per case.
Yeah, so it is. It's very rare to get to.
The highest right now, Inventor's Fair, which they just.
Inventor's Fair is the most. How much is it?
So market price is $11.60.
$11.60 for Inventor's Fair, but it was reprinted.
Is $9, but that's been reprinted.
Aether Reservoir is $9.
Authority of the Councils, which is just
so Mythic. What's the most expensive Mythic in that set?
There isn't one.
I know. There's nothing. So there's no Mythics. There's no.
Miss a Vital Force.
And that was reprinted.
Yes.
So everything has been reprinted. They're going to continue to reprint Kaladesh. So what is reserve list about this? Maybe any of the cards that say Kaladesh on it? Like where do people think is going to be the line for this? And again, it's just going to be so messy for Wizards of the Coast that I doubt it. I doubt that they make their statement. I think this is more like making a statement, basically saying they're going to try to be more sensitive in the future. And I would not be surprised, even with that there will be even a Kaladesh remastered eventually. Like we haven't we're supposed to be going back to Kaladesh with this little, isn't this next set? Aether Drift.
Changing the name of it. I don't even know how to say the new name.
They're changing the name of the world. I don't know if you guys can hear Zach in the background because this mic doesn't pick up very good, but they're changing the name of the world, I guess. Yes. I don't know. To me, then it will just get a remastered of that name. I don't know. And that, I guess people will have this historical name that now they're going to What a mess. What an absolute mess. And it's just crazy how the market responds this way. But in all reality, though, still, the amount of stuff that's out there, I would be very can you check Invasions of Kaladesh? Is that spiking up? The card from March of Machines, I believe. So you guys get real time my little thought process going on.
Just call me Jamie. It's only TCG's 15.
So it hasn't gone up at all. So yeah, it's just a kind of a garbage uncommon. So Invasion of Kaladesh, this is the problem with. I know that when Therese Nielsen was banned, people put spec in their art. The specs that people have done for the naughty list cards too. They haven't really. I mean, you have to find the problem is you have to find a buyer at that point that actually really cares about the historical connotations of this banning. And that's where it gets incredibly messy and incredibly speculative. And that's why I've been warning people, like the whole Pokemon Lorcana, when people really look into collectability versus playability, well, I've always tried to beat home. I'd rather go on short-term utility than on long-term collectability, because collectability is so unknown how things will last the test of time. And it's Pokemon especially, I'm going to beat this to death. We've seen cards that hit their peaks that have now gone back down. Like I needed to do an update video to Pokemon, because what we're seeing in Pokemon is actually Surging Spark has eaten up all of the money. It reminds me of Lord of the Rings, when Lord of the Rings came out with Magic the Gathering. That Pokemon necessarily isn't the hottest market ever. Surging Sparks is. And so it took all the money. If you think things like Chilling Reign and Chilling Reign was on its way up, Evolving Skies was up to about $20 a pack. Evolving Skies is back down to like $14 to $16. There's a lot of them that have of cards that had spiked like pre. And there is some other cards that have been moving up from the Scarlet and Violet era for sure. We've seen, what I've seen, the main thing with Pokemon is all that money has consolidated into Surging Sparks and left these other areas that were starting to get, very hot. And that's what I'm going to see with like this Kaladesh. Like right now, yeah, if you have a box Kaladesh, we're definitely selling this sucker, because I don't think that like this is the time to sell into it. Like I said, the scenario B, or just people just forgetting or not caring, is in my opinion a more probable outcome than this box going to the moon and just being this absolute. But who knows? We could go on this massive collector COVID garbage again, with crypto going through the moon, with interest rates being relaxed, which I think is the dumbest thing ever, because we still need to recoup a bunch of money printing that happened in the last. Don't even get me started with this whole scenario of what this is going to cause. But I know it's fun to see market movement. It's fun to see the shenanigans of what's going on. But why are you showing me Vivid Voltage? Because
Do not remember.
Yeah, I know, because Fat Gay Pikachu got way expensive.
$300 a box.
Yeah, and then they reprinted it like 4 times.
Yes.
Same with Darkness Ablaze. Darkness Ablaze got reprinted and reprinted. And then speaking of like Darkness Ablaze, that was the whole thing with like that era. And they're like, oh, these next sets we're gonna actually come out with cooler cards and even more rare cards. Oh, and we're gonna have to, like, that's the whole thing with like what I'm gonna see with Pokemon is like the collectability creep. So instead of power creep, they're gonna go on a collectability creep. So right now everyone thinks these cards are so cool from like these rainbow foils, and I'm trying to think of even what the full art or the alternate art cards from these newer sets that people are going to think is going to be so cool. Well, I mean, Pokemon is going to have collectability creep, in my opinion. That's going to happen. And this market, it's just so the insanity of the way the market moves, just with these little announcements and stuff. Maybe I'm just out of touch. Maybe I don't understand these things. But again, my whole point is, like, I've always liked markets where they were predictable and you just saw steady streams of things that can be. And again, maybe I'm in a different place than most people that are engaged in this sort of behavior. I mean, crypto, I think, has just changed everyone's mind on investing because we've seen just absolute craziness happen with crypto in the past 10 years. With even meme coins and, like, remember the NFT crap, where it's like people have we've gone away from sensible investments that used to 7-8% per year used to be amazing. That used to be something that people like, oh my gosh, if I can make 7-8% per year, that is a crazy investment. In fact, back when we used to do this with Magic the Gathering, that was like if you could get 7-8% off your Magic the Gathering product, that was awesome. And now it's like people, if their product doesn't go up, I mean, the problem too, if we had inflation one year be 8%, so it killed a bunch of like lower investment type stuff. If it didn't get up to 8%, you lost money during that particular year. And when interest rates have been averaging between 4 and 6% during this post-COVID era, it makes a lot of those things have to be these crazy 25 or even 2x, what people have been expecting. But anyway, I just think that this is all so nonsensical. Again, this market is so nonsensical. There's got to be a correction back to sensibility, and instead of just like people losing their minds after little announcements and being glued to their screen of when they can be like. There's so many people that are looking for. I'm going to find the next little. I'm going to be the first to figure this out before the masses do, and oh boy. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, I'm going to try to get back to creating these things. You can see I'm still pretty disheveled and whatnot because it's going to be rough. It's going to be a rough few. Where are you there, Miss Chloe? But she's in good hands. She's still feeling good right now, huh?
She's strong.
She's a strong dog. We're going to do what we can to make her last as long as she can and have the best quality of life. Lots of scrooches. Lots of chicken. Yeah, that gets your eyes going.
You want chicken?
Lots of steak. Yeah, you're gonna be a spoiled dog. So appreciate all the kind words and support and whatnot of what's been going on here. But yeah, we'll get back to the videos and hopefully we can revive the other channels. I keep seeing that here over and over. But it's always one thing after another. This has been Kevin with good old Gonro Games. Thanks for sticking around and thanks for watching.